Okay, in these garlic mashed potatoes, she calls for 2 full heads of garlic. That's approximately 30 cloves. Some of you can close your mouths right now because yes, that is a lot of garlic. However, the way that we're going to cook this garlic is definitely going to change the recipe, so that's really not that much. What I've done is you take the cloves with the outer casing, drop them into boiling water, boil them for 2 minutes, and then peel them. That's what I have here, pre-boiled. Now, what I have on the stove is I have 4 tablespoons of butter, which is just about to finish. We're going to take these and we're just going to drop them in. And we're going to slow cook those in butter for approximately 20 minutes. Once that's done, we're going to add in some flour, a little bit of other things. Those other things would include 1 cup of boiling milk, some salt, a little bit of pepper, and 2 tablespoons of flour. And we're going to cook all that up, and then you run that through a sieve. And basically, that's your garlic sauce. And it's very mild. I've actually already made this recipe once for Christmas dinner. So once you get all that, we're going to cook our potatoes. Now what I did for the potatoes was you want 2.5 pounds of potatoes. And I pretty much had exactly that. Now I bought these at my local Costco, and they're an assortment of purple potatoes, red potatoes, Yukon Golds. She says to use a baking potato. Personally, being a connoisseur of mashed potatoes, I prefer more of a cream potato, either a baby red, but a Yukon Gold. It makes an excellent mashed potato, and luckily we do have a mixture of those. Now, I've cut these up in about bite-sized chunks. It's going to help them boil better. When you boil these things in water, let me see if she tells you, basically you should boil them until you can take one of them out, put it onto a plate, and just sort of mash it with a fork. If it mashes easy with a fork, you're really good. Now, she says also to, once you have these things cooked, to put them through what they call a potato ricer. I don't have a potato ricer. Basically, a potato ricer it's like a garlic mash, and you put your potato in it and you just go like the little Play-Doh guns we used to use, and you shoot our little strings of Play-Doh out. So it's the same thing with potatoes. So you put that in, and then we're going to put in this garlic sauce on top of it, and a little bit of butter and some heavy cream. We're going to mix all that up, and it's going to make a really good creamy mashed potato. So let's get cooking. I'm going to go ahead and get these. Actually, I'm not going to get the potatoes on. We're still cooking our garlic for 20 minutes, and then we'll come around. So see you in a few. Okay, we have 2 minutes left on the garlic that's been cooking for 20 minutes slowly in butter. You don't want to brown it. It's on the stove. I have a lot that's about to happen, so we're not going to go really stove side because it does go really quick. I am going to turn up the heat on that to about low, and I'm going to put in this 2 tablespoons of flour into the mixture, and I'm going to cook that on low heat for approximately 2 minutes, and it'll begin sort of to froth. Now once it froths, if you can see here in my microwave, get a little zoom in, I'm cheating. That's 1 cup of milk, so we're going to boil that in the microwave, and I'm going to go ahead and pour that into the mixture, and we're going to bring that up to a simmer one more time. Once it's done to a simmer, you can either run it through a sieve or put it in a blender, and you're going to blend it up, put it back on the stove, and once again bring it up to a good simmer. At that point, you can take it off the heat and wait for your potatoes to be ready. Alright, so I know you're back there. There's all my timers going off. We are good to go. Go ahead and put in your flour. And you can just use a wooden spoon for this. And again, it's under low heat. And we're just gonna blend this in with that butter and that garlic, and it's gonna froth up. You are not trying to brown this. And I also have a pinch of pepper and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. We're gonna go ahead and mix that in right now as well. It's always tough when I have 3 different recipes on the stove for you guys, because timing's always an issue. Beverage. Gonna start getting my milk boiling, because we're pretty much coming up to nice frothy butter. Let's see if I can bring this over to you, show you what we're looking like. So you see that? It's frothing, it's not browning, and we're good to go with that. Okay, our milk is boiling. Now we want to shut off the heat to that. Bring in and then just slowly mix in this boiling milk right into there. And then once again, crank this up to high heat. We're going to bring it up to a boil. It rapidly comes to a boil. At this point it looks like gravy. You just want to cook this for like 1 minute. Luckily I have it in a non-stick pan. I'm going to bring it over and show you what it looks like. See that? Just like gravy. Now we're going to run this through the blender, and then once it goes through the blender, we're going to simmer for 2 minutes more, and then at that point, once you simmer it, let me just come up and talk to you. Once we put this back to the blender, put it back in the pot, simmer for just like I said, 2 minutes more, and it's ready to go into the mashed potatoes when they're ready, which they're on the stove boiling right now. Okay, I checked the recipe. It does say boil till tender, which is exactly what I thought. Now, these are going to get done before my lamb, which is not a good thing. But you can see, oh, you see how that just mashes easily with a fork? These are done. They're ready to go. We want to drain them immediately. So just go over with your drainer, dump it right in. Now, she said to peel the potatoes. I didn't peel them because the peels are a bit healthy. I'm okay with that. At this point, if you're following her recipe to a T, you're going to run these through a ricer. As we already stated, I don't have a ricer. And so we're just going to mash these with a fork, which I'll show you how to do that. Now I'm going to show you how to mash these with a fork right now. Go ahead and put our one back and just start mashing. Not rocket scientist. Now I got a blender. You can put these in the blender if you want. Definitely easier than a fork. I do this because she said put them through a ricer, so technically this is like putting them through a ricer. Okay. So basically these are going to be slightly lumpy. They're very colorful with a purple tomato in them. Okay, we're going I'm filming by hand, only because I don't have time to really move this setup. So basically, moderately high heat, there's just potatoes in here, and you're going to move this around. We're just trying to evaporate the moisture off these potatoes, and you can see it's sort of forming a film at on the bottom of this pan. Let me see if I can get you see that film. Once that covers, it's fully covered the bottom. So we want to stir in butter. Now, I'm going to go do that. We want to do 1 tablespoon of butter at a time. Now, obviously, now that you got that film on, put 1 tablespoon in. I'm going to move around the butter. And if you guys remember my chocolate mousse episode, you just want to mix 1 in at a time. Go to the next one. Once you get the butter melted, at that point we're going to go ahead, when we're ready to serve it, we can put this cream mixture in, and we're just going to put that in and mix it on in with this when you're ready to serve. We're not ready to serve right now, so we're just going to put this in. We're going to cover this, and we'll come back to it. I've got my hot garlic sauce. We're just going to go ahead and push that right into those mashed potatoes. If you wanted to, you could have made all of this ahead of time, set it aside. Now, if you wanted to reheat these potatoes, go ahead and cover them and put them in a pot of boiling water. Not the potatoes themselves, but the pot of potatoes surrounded by a thing of water. Bring it up and reheat it. And we're going to mix this in vigorously. Now, a couple things different than her recipe. You would not have any skins in. I do have the skins. If you use an electric beater for this process, it actually beats out the skins. Usually the skins will end up sticking to the beater, and actually I would say over 90% of all the skins go right out with the beaters. So look at that, mashed potatoes. Now at this point these can get a bit thick. What you want to do is that just like a tablespoon at a time, stir in some cream. That's about 2 tablespoons. Just to loosen them up a bit so they're not so thick. Now, and you have to remember, she was using regular baking potatoes, which won't be as creamy as the potatoes that I've used. So I've sort of thickened my way into this. Now, once you have a good creamy potato, you want to re-season. We're definitely needing some salt. And I can promise you, we're needing pepper. Ladies and gentlemen, that is delicious. I'm just gonna go ahead and do my final reveal here, because I don't know if you're familiar with, I'm from the South, I know good mashed potatoes. This is the finished product. It's good. It's got just such a vague hint of garlic. You'd never know there are 2 whole garlic cloves in this. You got to try this recipe. It is delicious. I can't wait to eat it with my lamb. See you soon.